Welcome to Car Nitty. My name is Mizan, and today we have a special guest with us today. You might have seen him before. His name is Ibrahim. How you doing?
If you're gonna do it, at least say your name is Ibrahim and my name is Mizan.
Okay, let's start again. So welcome to Car Nitty. My name is Ibrahim, and I'm here with someone you might have seen before, Mizan.
Why have you got to do it like that? You could have.
That's how you talk, innit?
No, that's not how I talk.
Yeah,
How dare you, bro? How dare you?
You're watching Car Nitty. My name's Mizan, and today I've got with an unusual video for you. There's no performance cars or any fast things here. We've got some hybrids. Now in this video, we've got two different cars. Well, I say they're two different, but they're actually sort of the same car because Lexus is owned by Toyota, but they're different generations at least. Now this is my dad's Toyota Prius. It's a Gen 2. It's got a 1.5 litre petrol engine with a hybrid. This is a Lexus CT200. Now this has got a 1.8 litre hybrid petrol engine. That shares the same engine as a Gen 3 Prius, and this is obviously a Gen 2 Prius. So you might be thinking, why am I comparing these? The main difference here is this car has got 78,000 miles on the clock for an 06 plate car. This is obviously a 13 plate car, and it's got over 200,000 miles. The question we're going to answer today is, would you rather have a low mileage hybrid car or a newer high mileage hybrid car? My dad is the fourth owner of this 06 plate car. So that means the three previous owners had it for 5 years each. The other thing that was very important to us was that we did not buy a car that was used for cabbing, because going through stop-start conditions is obviously a lot of wear and tear for the engine and the hybrid system. So we literally sourced a car that was used as a private vehicle, which this car is. And each owner's owned it for 5 years, which obviously states that this car has been well looked after and it's been reliable, hence why every owner had such a long ownership period. This car has got full service history, but funnily it has been serviced at a Lexus main dealer. I don't know why someone's done that, but technically I guess that's allowed, isn't it? So how much did we pay for this? We paid £5,000 from a dealer for this car. Now obviously it wasn't a main dealer because it's an older car, but it was a sort of a used car dealer. We also got 6 months warranty with the car. Now you might be thinking £5,000 for a 2006 car is a lot of money, but you have to bear in mind that when we bought this car, which was December 2021, the prices of used cars were very high. If you're looking to buy an automatic car as a runner, you're looking to spend at least £2,000-3,000. For a manual car, you can actually spend £1,000. So remember this, the Priuses all come automatic as standard. You can't get a manual Prius. So £5,000 for a Prius with low mileage, and a high mileage Prius right now, if you were to check, is about 3 grand. So we paid 2 grand more for the convenience of low mileage and knowing that this car's been well looked after, because I don't have a lot of knowledge about hybrid cars. So buying one that is low mileage means I don't have to worry about it, the ins and outs are so much. The other thing to bear in mind is road tax is just £10 a year, and also the fact that technology in this car, even though it's an 06 car, is still very current, and more manufacturers are going towards hybrid cars already to meet emission standards. So we've got a car that's very good on fuel, it's quite futuristic in terms of tech, for just 5 grand, and it's low mileage. I think that's a pretty good deal. And over here we've got the Lexus, and this car has got an astonishing 210,000 miles on the clock. Now this car has only got 3 previous owners, so if you worked it out based on the fact that this is a 9-year-old car, that works out to be 3 years per owner in terms of ownership duration. Now obviously, as I've mentioned, the engine in this, the 1.8 litre, is shared with the Toyota Prius Gen 3, not that. So it is a whole generation better. And the owner's already told me that he's getting like at least 10 mpg more than I'm getting in this car. So there are some benefits to having this over that. And obviously this car will be a lot more fast and more refined because it's still a newer generation than that. The other thing as well is this car has got no service history, none at all. The owner picked it up as a gamble, and it served him well, if I'm honest. He's had it for quite a few months, but that's a gamble compared to that, which has got full history, and a lot of it is main dealer as well. So this car is actually worth more than that car. That's what we bought that for 5 grand. It's worth about 5.5 now, or just under. This is worth 6.5, 6 grand. Right, that's enough information about both cars. We're not going to talk about performance or anything like that, because let's be honest, the average person who's going to buy either of these cars isn't going to care about that. We're going to go for driving the Prius first, and then we're going to jump in the Lexus after. We're now in the Prius. I want to give a nice warm welcome to Ibrahim.
How you doing, guys?
Ibrahim, man, this is like your third appearance on the channel, man. You're what? Time with Cypher, I think, after today.
Oh no, he'll come back. He'll probably have a Audi GTI or something.
Yeah, he's gonna break the record. I'm sure he's gonna be back on the channel soon. So I'm sure some people were surprised that you're the owner of that Lexus. I mean, this is Ibrahim with the 335i Stage 2 Plus with an E46 330 Ci driving a hybrid. What's going on? What's going on?
The fuel prices these days. I need to make it up so I can drive the upper cars.
Okay, so obviously that's your daily driver, yeah? The Prius, I mean the Lexus, yeah. Let's not call it a Prius. It's got the Prius engine, but whatever. How did you buy it? I know you're in the motor trade, so Max Rev Car Sales, which is obviously a trading business you and your partner run. Want to know, like, how did you end up with the Lexus? Was it through that?
So what it was is, in the past I used to hire out Toyota Priuses.
Yeah.
I've had about 4 or 5 of them, even T-Spirit models, all the way down to the base models.
Yeah.
Honestly, the T-Spirit model is depressing enough, let alone the base model.
Yeah.
And when you drive a Prius, no one rates you.
Yeah, like when you put it to a junction, no one wants to give you way.
It's, you know what? I'll tell you, it's a good car.
All right. Amazing cars, amazing cars, but there's no respect associated with it.
And the other thing is, I wouldn't want to drive it because I don't think it's safe. Because if you're trying to pull out or if you're trying to get in somewhere, no one's going to give way to you, so you have to force your way in.
Yeah, because people look and think, that's a Prius, I'm not getting stuck behind him. They don't give you way.
You actually get discriminated for driving a Prius.
You actually do, it's not a joke.
Not as bad as these ones though, because these ones weren't really the typical PCO taxi cars.
Yeah.
But the next generation after this, yes, definitely.
Yeah, the Gen 3s, definitely.
The Gen 3s, yeah.
So I 100% agree with you. Like, even when you indicate to turn into a lane or a junction, people just don't want to give you. And this car's not fast enough to do radical changes. Yeah. Like when we drive our other cars, the 135 or the 335,
put on your
you pull out. You've got the power to just do the maneuver you want. But in this car, you haven't. So you're reliant on that respect. The lever in this car. Imagine going to a farm and you want to slaughter an animal. So you've done that. So now you're left with the carcass. So you're thinking, what do I do with the carcass? You make a nice Lexus out of that. But then you got the scrap, you know, skin or whatever, the leather, right? You put in a Prius. That's the difference. The Lexus is so nice and soft. It's like sitting in a sofa. But this car gives me back pain.
And the thing is, this is a T-Spirit. I've had a T-Spirit Gen 3.
It makes no difference. The leather is leather, the cloth is cloth.
You can get a top spec Prius.
Yeah. And I want to show you guys something. This is a cushion. Goes around the seat for the driver's side. Now, I've taken this off because I want Ibrahim to experience how uncomfortable these seats are. If you go onto a forum, people will talk about how bad Prius seats are. I actually got back pain driving this car for a month.
I'm feeling on my lower back already.
You're feeling it, yeah?
I feel like, what, 5 minutes?
Yeah, I'm not even leaning back, guys. I'm keeping like a sort of distance between me and back. You know what? Sorry, bro.
Where's my pillow, man?
Sorry, bro. You gotta go back in the Lexus. I gotta live with this, alright? The other thing as well, there's no adjustment. Like, look, he's what, you're 6'1", and look how big it looks. Even me, look how big we look in this cabin. And this is a spacious car. Now, why do you think that is? It's because the seats can't be adjusted. The passenger has no adjustment. All they can do is go backwards and forwards and adjust the back support. But even the back support, it has its own place. Like, you can only click it into a place. You know how, like with BMWs, you can stop it exactly where you want it to stop. There's none of that here. The driving seat is only better because it lets you go up and down. Yeah. But even then, it's so limited. Even when I drive that car, I'm sitting so high. It's like I'm driving an SUV. And this is where this car really, really lacks.
It's the same with the Lexus.
Yeah.
Obviously, the seats are better quality. Yeah. It's more comfortable to sit in. But say you can't adjust the passenger seat up and down. Yeah. It's only the driver's seat, and even then, me being a tall guy, it only goes down so far. Yeah. Whereas with the German cars, BMWs,
you just have so much customization.
You're literally sitting on the floor.
Even the steering wheel, you wanted to pull it out towards you.
Yeah. You can't.
You can only go up and down now. Yeah. You have to go all the way back because you need the leg space. But even then, your knees are still cramped. The seat stop.
Yeah, literally, like my knees can still touch the steering.
Yeah, because the seat rails don't go far back enough. Yeah. The seat rails. So, in terms of adjustment, these are one of the worst cars known to mankind. I have to be honest.
But I think generally Japanese cars are like that. Japanese cars.
That's why they chuck Ricaros in a sporty Japanese car, because you can't have the stock leather seats that come with the car. So that's the most negative thing I can say about the car in my 5-month ownership of a Prius. The seats are atrocious. but fuel economy, everything is perfect, man, for what I believe. I mean, this car gets about 40 mpg. You get about 50 in your Lexus. Oh my God, the body roll. Oh my. Oh. I literally couldn't stop myself from rolling.
God, it does body roll.
It body rolls so much. The car is nice and quiet. Gearbox does what it's supposed to. Hybrid's doing its thing. What's your thoughts so far?
I would say like this car, because obviously that Lexus generation is
and one generation newer. Yeah,
one generation newer. It's more comparable with the generation 3.
Yeah,
but this is my first time in a generation 2,
yeah.
and I would say I'm pretty impressed with this one.
Yeah,
but it could also be because it's a low mileage one.
Yes.
So it does. Everything feels still pretty new, like
tidy. Everything's tidy. Yeah.
Not really worn out.
No.
I think this is a pretty good buy. It's a pretty good car. This
yeah,
one.
and let's be honest, man. Look, you got this big screen here that tells you your MPG consumption, everything, whatever the Prius drivers want to know. Let's be honest, it's what Prius drivers want to know. And then you got sort of a digital speedometer there as well. So you have to admit that for a 2006 car, it doesn't feel like a 2006 car. It feels like a 2010 car. Yeah. Especially with the hybrid technology, the fact that £10 road tax. When you really take all that into consideration, these are really, really modern. That's why they've held the value so well. It's not because they're overpriced, it's because they were ahead of the time. The comfort is bad in the sense of the seats. Yeah. And the solution is getting a pillow like I've done. But in terms of the comfort of the car itself, the way it soaks up miles is very comfortable.
Yeah, I think the suspension is pretty soft. Yeah. Which is what it's designed for.
It's designed for. Exactly. You want to glide over, but it feels like a Rolls Royce. It's just gliding. I wouldn't go that far, but you know what I'm saying. You know, I mean, you can't feel any potholes.
It does its job.
Yeah, it does its job for budget Japanese car. I mean,
there's not like unwanted rattles in here.
No.
Again, I think it's because of low mileage. I don't know how much difference a high mileage one would have been.
Yeah.
But this is where the Lexus company comes into play, with it being
a high mileage,
210k mileage,
and it being still tidy. Even though the Lexus is a Prius engine underneath and the hybrid battery, everything, it's more comparable to a Toyota Auris of that same generation because they're small hatchbacks.
Size,
now, the Prius is a bigger hatchback, but there is nothing in the lineup of Lexus that is comparable. In terms of range, I think we need to make this very clear. These cars can only drive, both your cars as well, up to 30 miles per hour on the hybrid battery. Up to, wow, 40. There you go. This car is 30. Now, realistically speaking, the range of them is very bad. I mean, the thing people need to understand is they can't drive on on the hybrid power. What they're designed for is to kick in at certain points when their petrol engine would be more thirsty and strained. So, for example, when you're at a traffic light and you move off, the petrol engine has to start in gear 1, going to gear 2. Gear 1 is the most torquey, that's where it's going to drink the most fuel. So that's where the hybrid kicks in, moves you off the line. Then when you're at a steady speed, like 20 miles per hour, 30 miles per hour, boom, switches it over. That's what the hybrid is for. People get very confused and they think, how long can you drive on the electric motor? The answer is, you can't. It's not really designed for what people think it is, isn't it? Like Ibrahim's pointed out, he can really feel the fact that this is a low mileage car, which is good. That's good, that's exactly why I bought it. So obviously I'm now gonna jump into his car and feel what a high mileage hybrid car feels like. Right, so now I'm in the Lexus and straight off the bat, I'm gonna say it, the driving position in this car is amazing. For someone like me and Ibrahim that like our BMWs, we like to sit low and just having that good seating position, this is as close as you're going to get in a hybrid or something other than a German brand, isn't it?
Yeah, basically, yeah.
And it's on point. It's on point. I'm so comfortable right now. I don't need no damn pillow for my back support, nothing. But you can see me how nice and slumped I'm in my seat. But you'll have to look at Ibrahim to see how huge it looks. And
I don't know why Japanese cars are like this. You can't adjust the passenger seat going up and down. Yeah, so Ibrahim is literally stuck in one position, but the seats themselves are a massive step above the Prius. But saying that, I'm gonna say this right now, that's got nothing to do with generation. Reason being is because when I read on the forums, people are complaining and they've got the Gen 4, Gen 5 about the seats being uncomfortable. So that goes to show the seats being uncomfortable is not a Gen 2 factor, it's a Prius factor, it's a Toyota factor. The dashboard layout, although it looks very nice, it's not as futuristic as the Prius. Yeah. The Prius is so minimalistic. It's like a Tesla with that small little screen, if that makes sense. Like everything's on the steering, all the buttons, everything's on the screen. You don't even have, you have a head-up display for, you know, your speedometer.
So the Prius is very futuristic in that sense.
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel like a car. It feels like an EV. It feels like futuristic. Whereas this, I like the fact it feels like an internal combustion engine car. You want that sometimes. So yeah, we've got 211,000 miles on this clock. Now you got no service history for this car, man.
Yep.
I think, you know what, back then, did you own City Autos back then?
No.
So you bought this car before you even owned the garage.
Yep.
Well, now you got a garage is a good thing, because if this car goes wrong, you got something to repair it, isn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, guys, City Autos is a new venture that Ibrahim has branched into. They do all kind of mechanical work for cars. So if you guys are looking for a garage, please do check them out. You guys are very familiar with Ibrahim. I mean, he's helped me out with my 135 on multiple occasions. He knows his stuff, and now he's got his own people working for him. So if you're looking for a reliable garage that will look after you, honestly,
Yeah, we literally do everything: mechanical work, tires.
yeah.
The AC regas.
Like some garages I go to, you go there, they're like, yeah, leave the car, and you look around, you're like, where are you gonna park it? They're like, the road. I'm like, how are you gonna park my car on the road? But their point is, we got no space to park inside the garage, and then to get our tickets, they get spray cans and they spray over the, you know, the rules that say 9 to 5:30, no parking around, or this or that, or they take the plates off the car, and I'm just like, who's bothered to deal with it? These guys. City Autos, you can give your car, you know it's gonna be well looked after, so definitely check them out. So why did you buy a high mileage one, man? Like, why?
So at the time, I just I test drove someone else's CT200, and I didn't realize how good they were. So I was looking for another CT200. I'm looking on all the auction sites, all the markets, and they were really expensive.
Yeah.
They were really expensive. Even at this sort of mileage, I bought it for around 6,000, and that was before all the car prices started going up. Otherwise, and this was the cheapest one I found on the market at the time.
Yep.
Otherwise, you're looking at the same car with just a little bit, even 150,000 mileage. They're going for at the time 7,000, 8,000, 9,000 pounds.
Yep.
Previous owner that owned this car, he was actually one of the main owners of UK London hybrids. So they specialize in hybrid vehicles, which I didn't know at the time.
And they rent it out to people that want to be a cab driver, essentially, PCO ready, etc.
Yeah.
That's why you've got a PCO sticker in this car.
Yeah.
Not because you're a cabbie, but because this car
used to be rented
out to people that want to do it.
Yeah, but the only reason I'm keeping it on is just to keep the value of the car.
The way this car does come together, I mean, it's the whole Volkswagen Audi's thing that's happening here. Like, how can an Audi be more upmarket than a VW? But it just is.
Yeah.
It just is. Like, when you drive on, you can actually feel the fact that, hey, the Audi does feel a bit more special. And I have to say that is true here. This car does feel more special than a Prius. Whether we're talking about the dials or seating position, the quality of the leather, these are things that matter to people. And Toyota know that there are people that don't care about it. And that's why the Prius exists. I'm honestly very surprised at driving this, because this feels like a normal internal combustion car, the way everything's laid out. When I drive the Prius, I can tell I'm driving a Prius. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can tell you're driving a car. Because remember this, right? At one point, people that owned Priuses were known as tree huggers, environmentalists, trying to save the planet. Remember, that was what you were known as if you had a Prius. But that's changed now because of rising cost of living, road tax, fuel prices. So now the average Joe are now getting into hybrid cars, right? But the Prius is from that generation where you can tell it's for saving the planet or being good on fuel, and that's it. This car gives you that bit of luxury, that bit of class that Prius just fails to give you, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you know what? It's hard to say, but would I buy one of these instead of the low mileage Prius? I still don't know the answer to that, if I'm honest.
I think for the average person, they are a bit scared to buy a high mileage car in general. Let's forget hybrid. People are scared to buy diesel cars with high mileage, and resale is a massive thing as well. Like, people are scared to think, if I buy this, who the hell's gonna buy it off me? Let's be honest here. But something like this, there's always gonna be a demand because of that badge you have over there. I think you can take a risk on one of these, but at the same time, if it does go wrong, it is going to be an expensive bill, isn't it? Yeah. But to be honest, I'll put it into perspective. One of the main reasons why I wasn't too worried about the mileage is because I've seen, and I've had Toyota Priuses that I've hired out with almost 300,000 mileage, and they've still running. They're still on the original battery. One of my friends has got one on 250,000 miles on the original battery, and it's still going well, giving the same amount of MPGs.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the problem we've got is, if you ask Toyota what's the lifespan of these batteries, they say 180,000 miles or 200,000 miles.
Yeah.
But I feel like they're sort of underestimated, because they don't want to. Because obviously there are going to be some cars that die at 180 or 200. So they've given a very safe number almost, that the batteries will last this long. Because there's so many cars that go over and beyond. Clearly they're capable. It's just that they don't want to admit it, if that makes sense. And the honest truth is, when you drive the Prius, you can tell you're sacrificing a lot to drive a Prius. Like, you're sacrificing what a normal car is to drive a Prius because of the MPG. With this car, you get to have a bit of both. Like, you get to feel like, yeah, I'm driving a car that's good on fuel, but hey, it feels like a normal car at least. I keep bragging on about it. The seats are amazing. The Prius is killing me, man. Save me, save me. The Prius is so bad. Honestly, it's so bad.
It is.
It's so bad. I mean, I've thought about swapping the seats out. That's how bad the Prius is. I mean, do you think I want to drive with a cushion on my back? You know, I'm a guy in his 20s and I'm complaining about back pain in a Prius. Oh God. You know what? I want a low mileage CT200. That's what I want.
Get your wallet out.
Exactly, that's the problem. That's the problem. They cost so much.
Yeah, I think that's the one downside about the Lexus CT.
It just costs too much.
I think it's too expensive.
It's too much. And this car makes me want to drive more economically, because this car has regenerative braking. So when I let my foot off the gas, the car is stopping by itself. Normal cars you coast. This car doesn't coast. It's already cutting the pressure, the power to recharge the battery.
This review has clearly summed up the CT is a superior car to the Prius. Clearly the badge it wears at the front makes all the difference, but when a high mileage CT costs more than a low mileage Prius, what's the better choice? Personally, my dad is not a petrol head. He wouldn't appreciate what the CT offers, and thus the high premium can't be justified. The Prius is more likely to be reliable and hassle-free at a lower buying cost, so I definitely made the right choice. If you're someone who seeks even the tiniest amount of pleasure from driving, and this will be your only car and you need a hybrid, you can't settle for any Prius, regardless of generation. High or low mileage makes no difference. The Prius is just not the car for you. If you're not comfortable buying a higher mileage CT, increase your budget. There's no cheap option here, I'm afraid. It's crazy that the CT is worth so much more money with that many miles and no paperwork. Many people wouldn't even buy a car with no service history, let alone a high mileage example. I'd rather have the low mileage Prius on my driveway and another polluting car I could enjoy when the mood strikes, rather than a low mileage CT200 that's meant to be my all-in-one. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to like, comment, share and subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you soon.